We're here to talk about more assist trophies. These funny little fellas that can spawn in to help you out, or not. Yes, this is a series where I go over every single assist trophy in the game and talk about things ranging from basic mechanics to niche trivia or anything else I can think of. My last video went over a lot of the basic details about how spawn rates and spawn restrictions go, among other things, so while you don't need to watch that in order to enjoy this video, I do recommend catching it at some point because it's really interesting. Also, my biggest critique about the rarity organization was the color choice, I guess, so I'll be changing them to look like this instead. Hope you enjoy. Anyways, we'll be starting out with Skull Kid and going all the way over to Mother Brain. Yeah, I can tell this is gonna be a long series, so let's just start. Though actually, before starting, I want to quickly thank today's video sponsor, Raighne. It's that time of year where you scramble to get people gifts, so why not get them something that they might actually use, like Raighne's Everyday Earbuds Classics. I use Raighne almost every day whenever I want to listen to music in public, usually for things like working out or getting stuff done at the cafe or what have you, and it's such a big upgrade from my old bulky headphones. These things got active noise cancellation, plus multi-point connectivity that allows them to pair with two devices at once, and an ergonomic design that keeps them in place no matter what I'm doing. I'm always a fan of the blue or mint colors, but they've got a solid variety to offer. Plus, these things have up to 32 hours of battery life with a quick charge function, all while offering the same high quality audio as the big brands at just half the price. And that deal gets even better now, as Raighne audio products are up to 20% off this holiday season. Just click the link in the description or go to buyraighne.com/pkbeats to save on Raighne audio products site-wide. Order by December 15th to guarantee delivery by Christmas. Again, that's buyraighne.com/pkbeats for 20% off. And thank you, Raighne, for sponsoring today's video. Skull Kid is an uncommon assist from my favorite game, Zelda Majora's Mask, who cannot be KO'd and has all of these spawn restrictions. We'll be going back to this list of restrictions, but for now let's just quickly go over his effects. He'll either turn everyone invisible, which seems to have a 50% chance of happening, or he'll flip the screen, either vertically or horizontally, being a 25% chance each. These numbers were given to me by Canvas K, who's helped me out a lot in the past with information for other item stuff. We technically don't know for sure that these probabilities apply to invisibility in each of the flip variants, but given my own testing, it's the most likely. Each effect will last 10 seconds before reverting, and that's it. It's a very simple assist. It's worth pointing out that this invisibility effect persists even after you get KO'd, and we can also see what happens when you stack Hocus Pocus's invisibility effect with this one, which is nothing really. You don't become super invisible or anything, though I am glad that Skull Kid used the invisibility effect when I finally rolled it from Hocus Pocus. Anyways, let's go back to these restrictions. This is the first time we've seen this, so let me point out what the wiki means by all here. When I was talking about an assist like Hammer Bro, who can't spawn in Mute City SNES, this restriction goes away if you go to the Battlefield or Mega versions of the stage. I mean, of course it would, it's way less chaotic here. However, for Skull Kid and a few other assists, there's stages where he won't be able to spawn in, even on these Omega and Battlefield variants. This is usually when the restriction comes not from the stage's layout or specific wacky mechanics, but rather from something about the background. I can only speculate what it is about these stages that makes Skull Kid not compatible, and I'm sure that the developers had good reasons. I did have the theory that it's due to these parts that are in the, I suppose, the middle ground. This is the same general area that the Pokemon trainers wander around in, and we can tell that they clearly don't want to walk in this direction, because they can't. It's literally walled off. You can see it with your eyeballs here. So maybe stages with prominent elements in the middle ground are just no-goes, though Skull Kid can handle a little bit of clipping. And maybe it's just one of many elements, as this doesn't seem to be a factor on Umbra Clock Tower, yet that's another stage that doesn't allow for Skull Kid. Again, the variables are just kinda everywhere, and I don't think I'm in a position to say anything definitively. But yeah, if you see that all in parentheses for the restrictions photo, just know that that's what it means. Also, fun fact, apparently Skull Kid cannot spawn on the Battlefield and Omega versions of Pac-Land, but can on the normal version. Given how different the types are, it's not super bizarre, but I guess I just would have thought that whatever would have messed things up on the static version would have also applied to the side-scrolling one. It's weird. The moon is a common assist from that game that's still my favorite game, and okay, here's the list of item restrictions, and here's the list of stage restrictions. 52 whole entire stages do not allow this assist to spawn in, 40 of which being true for all variants of said stage. So yeah, Almost half of the entire stage list just does not work for this thing, which really shows how arbitrary my categorizations are. Sure, it's got the higher numerator, yippee, but if you're the type of person who cycles between a handful of favorite stages, you could literally never see this thing spawn in. This might help play into the idea that assists that have fewer restrictions, like the Hammer Bro, are given lower base odds to help balance them out, but we'll look into an example that goes against this idea pretty soon. So for now, let's just look into the Moon Assist itself. It starts off way in the background in the top left corner, then slowly gets bigger and bigger until it crashes into the stage. This crash will deal 50% in total, and its KO power is pretty dang good. Even though the explosion is big, it's not a screen nuke. Instead, it homes in on a specific target. After a lot of testing, it's pretty obvious that it chooses its target based on which enemy was closest to you when you spawn it in. So its exact crash landing spot isn't going to be the same every single time. Now let's move over to the training mode stage. As it turns out, even though the moon spawns in the same spot, its target range for the opponent is seemingly infinite. Toon Link is all the way over here now, so the moon zooms in, and then... I don't know what's with this, oh, let me just scooch on by you real quick kind of maneuver, but it's hysterical seeing the moon hit the Cha-Cha slide to reach Toon Link all the way over here. Also, it seems to choose its target location the moment it spawns in, so if Toon Link just runs away, then he'll be long gone from the blast radius. Anyways, back to those restrictions. I'm sure it's even more obvious now that you've seen it in person. Wait, did I write in person? I sure hope not. But this assist takes up the whole background basically. Obviously it just increases in size rather than actually moving all the way from the background to the foreground, but it does still exist and move throughout the background a little bit. I would have loved to capture the whole process through a different angle, but you get kicked out of the camera the moment it starts its descent, but at the very least we do know that it's at least somewhere back here. And I guess that just doesn't work for a lot of stages. Anything 2D or adjacent just won't fly. I guess stages that have some background elements somewhere also suck. Man, actually some of these are just like, really? You couldn't make this work? PK Beats, how is a whole moon gonna fit underground, idiot? I don't know, man, figure it out. I could do that myself if I wanted to. It's not that hard. Anyways, which part of Luigi's Mansion do you think messes with the spawn? Take a guess, anything works. Really, the only example that makes immediate obvious sense is Great Bay, cause there's already a moon back there. You can't have two moons, silly. Though it's really funny how you can't summon the moon if Skull Kid is spawned in and vice versa. I like to imagine that's because he's too busy pulling this whole thing down to be able to appear on his own. Okay, whatever, moving on to simpler stuff. Midna is a common assist trophy from Twilight Princess who has 50 HP and a very reasonable list of restrictions. Finally, someone you can actually see. She's a really basic assist with only one real attack, her hair grab. Given that it's a grab, it cannot be shielded, and it comes out fairly fast, which can make it hard to react to. It'll deal 20% in total, and has really solid KO potential. Also, the hair tendril arm thing can deal damage to people not caught in the grab too. But yeah, not too much to note there. Well, other than that, her teleport is not limitless, and she can only go so far each time. So if you have enough distance between yourself and her, then she straight up can't reach you before she despawns. By the way, when she gets launched, instead of jumping or whatever, she'll obviously teleport, but I noticed that sometimes she can have a bit of trouble getting down from where she teleports herself. Also, I almost gaslit myself into thinking that she couldn't spawn on the Bridge of Ayden, but she can. I thought it because this thing that teleports the bridge piece to fix it, that's technically Midna herself doing it. But you know, I guess it just doesn't really matter, she can do two things at once. Ghirahim is a common assist from Skyward Sword who has 50 HP and is only restricted from spawning on Peach's castle. Why only there? I don't know, dude. I don't know. I don't know anymore. Anyways, this is one of the first assists we'll be looking at that has a decent variety of attacks. Specifically, he has 5 attacks. 2 kinds where he throws an array of kunai, either grounded, which shoots them out horizontally, or aerial, which shoots them out at a downward diagonal angle. Each knife deals 4.8%. Then there's a basic slice dealing 16%, one dash into a slice if he detects you, dealing 22%, and a teleports behind you nothing personal kid kinda slash dealing 18%. The last 2 of which being pretty dang strong. While in medium range, the bulk of these attacks seem to be chosen at random, it's not fully random based on my testing. As you can expect, you'll never see this basic slice anywhere outside of super close range, where it seems to be the only move he'll use. The knife throwing attacks are somewhat common in medium ranges, but I found that he basically never used them at the longer ranges. At that point, he'll either do the teleporting attack, which makes the most sense, or he'll sometimes start the dash attack, inevitably failing because you were nowhere nearby, but I guess he got closer anyway, so good job, big man. This isn't due to limitations with his teleport, by the way. He can teleport as far as he needs to. He definitely preferred the dash at certain ranges, which could lead to some funny back and forth, but it was never truly consistent outside of a few of those variables. What was consistent was how his teleporting slash worked. If you'll notice in all these clips, there's one thing they have in common. He's attacking the opponent from this side. No matter which direction Link is facing or going, or which half of the stage he was on, he was being attacked here. So on the rightmost part of the stage, that makes the knockback pretty brutal, but on the left half it's a lot safer. This was how it worked regardless of many factors I changed and incorporated, except for just one thing that seemed to make him actually attack from the right instead. That being, I guess, just how much space there is available. If Link was standing just a bit close to the edge and Ghirahim goes for a grounded teleport attack, then he wouldn't have enough room on the left side, so he just goes to the right. Same thing here on Temple, Zelda's right next to the wall on her left, so Ghirahim goes on the other side. This is the only explanation I can think of, as otherwise he really loved being on the left. Probably not politically, of course, though. So I guess you can mostly just stay on the left side of the stage, so that if the teleport attack hits you, you're more likely to survive, yippee. Well, I mean, that's at least one way to handle it, but another thing I noticed is that a lot of his attacks don't really have a great way to deal with you while you're airborne. The teleport is really all he has, and while being super close to him can have him throw his knives, they're so weak that it just kinda doesn't even matter. Plus they have a blind spot right in front of him. Otherwise, you'll end up jumping over everything he throws at you, so you can just time an air dodge for his teleport attack, stay close by, and you'll dance around him. It's hysterical. Also, he doesn't really know how to handle someone camping at the ledge, so that's an option too. This is all obviously assuming that your opponent is currently unconscious though there's ways to accomplish that yourself. Also, if you wanted to take the more canon route and send Ghirahim to Sword Hell, you'll want to be careful because... yeah, for some reason they decided to make him a walking reflector. In a match full of other kinds of items, this can be super deadly. So despite me going pretty deep into the mechanics of everything else, if there's gonna be any takeaway that you didn't know before, let it be that. Before I move on, I just want to quickly go back to this stage restriction list. It's really funny to me because earlier I was theorizing about how low amounts of restrictions is what led to lower spawn odds as sort of a balancing feature, yet here Ghirahim is with a list just as small as Hammer Bro, despite being in the common category and frankly still being a really strong assist. So really, I have no clue how the whole spawn rate system was decided. Anyways, let's finally move on. The Metroid is a rare assist from the Samus games with 21 HP and is restricted from these stages. It attacks by latching onto an opponent and sucking them dry. It deals 2% per tick of damage, which, if left untouched, will add up to 38%. However, this amount will go down drastically the more you mash, which I got down to 6 attacks or 12% damage total. And while you can't shield these hits, you could spam dodges to avoid some of the attacks as well. It's not as effective as just mashing though. Additionally, if you have a burst movement option, this seems to get you out of the attack just fine, assuming that it's fast enough to come out before the next tick of damage is dealt and cancels your attack. Oh, speaking of canceling your attacks, yeah, that's a thing. If the attack comes out before the next suckbox flinches you, you can essentially use the Metroid to cancel your attacks and use them over and over again. I'm sure you can see how this could actually be beneficial to you, even if it's at the cost of a little bit of health. Speaking of health, in the intro I said it has 21 HP, but if you were to try and attack it yourself, it would seem impervious to everything you throw at it, even the kitchen sink. And that's because it is impervious. It'll only take damage when you freeze it, in which case its low HP count starts to make a whole lot more sense. The way HP works for it is similar to the other assists, going into this glowing state when it reaches 0, and maintaining this even when it unfreezes. Though I guess instead of knockback requirements to fully KO it, it'll just die from enough damage being dealt? Kinda? Giving the freeze requirement though, in almost all cases it is unkillable. But if the opportunity arises, it's an option. Just make sure you're careful where you freeze it, as if it clips through the stage, it'll just fall to the blast zone and then unfreeze. Also, a quick bit of trivia from the wiki, but if Yoshi uses his flutter jump while being sucked by the Metroid, you'll see that he actually takes some horizontal knockback from it, even though the attack shouldn't have any real knockback. My guess is that this is something special to negate the armor that Yoshi's flutter jump normally has. This way he can't just spam jumps through the attack and render it useless. But that's just a theory. Anyhow, let's move on to the last entry. Mother Brain is a common assist from the Metroid series with these stage restrictions and has 120 HP, the highest amount out of any assist in the game. In practice, this makes it incredibly difficult to actually destroy her, as even if you deal all that damage and get her into this gold glowing state, you'll need to do even more damage or knockback to finish the job, which can be really hard to do on your own without some insane spirits or items. And yes, here's what the defeat animation looks like. Anyways, Mother Brain has 2 attacks. These donut-looking things are called Rinkas, and they'll deal 9% if they come into contact with you. And Mother Brain's main attack is this Hyper Beam laser thing, which deals 4% per ticket damage, whose overall output can vary a lot, but has the potential to deal 100% on its own. This laser will either start horizontally and move up, or diagonally up and move down, whichever starting point is closer to you. Its range is limited, but the Rinkas are not. Only 2 appear on screen at once, but they spawn wherever the edge of the screen is, meaning the farther out the camera is, the farther out the Rinkas will spawn, and the more space they'll have to travel, which could be good or bad. Probably bad in the more extreme cases, but they still have some kind of homing, I guess. If there's anything you've noticed though, it's that neither of these attacks really do knockback, so it'll be very unlikely for Mother Brain alone to KO anyone. This plays into the idea that these are assists. Mother Brain does all the damage and you just gotta seal the deal, easy peasy. I go over counterplay at an individual level, like for Ghirahim, since it helps us understand how the characters work, and that fundamental understanding can make it easier to deal with in a more chaotic setting. But yeah, damage is Mother Brain's role. For some fun awesome trivia, the Rinkas are projectiles that are energy based and thus can be absorbed, though oddly enough they cannot be pocketed. Oh, maybe it's not that strange. What is strange is how Mother Brain is still affected by reverse attacks, turning her whole model around. Despite this though, the laser will still come from the same spot as normal, meaning butt laser. Awesome, that's so cool. This is the type of incredibly minor thing that probably would have been patched years ago, but I somehow had never heard of this before, so maybe it's a good thing that the game isn't getting updates anymore. What's also being updated is my list of finished videos, because that is now what this one is. Man, that transition into the outro sucked. Yeah, I know I said that in the last episode, the future ones would be more efficient, but sorry, I can't help it. I wanted to be thorough. Instead of just doing one tiny baby bit of trivia for each assist that lasts for 20 seconds, I decided that being really detailed with how they work would be a lot more useful given how overlooked these things can get. So if you have any ideas of trivia for the future assists, or anything else you'd like me to know, well, you know what to do, right? Yeah, you get it. We're on the same wavelength all the time, man. It's so righteous. Anyways, I'd like to thank my beautiful patrons Burbo, Pixelboy, Raighne, Soul700, and everyone else for their incredible support. Stay casual, and I'll see y'all later.